Probably going to get a touchdown here.
Yep, the 5'6" senior from Spring, Texas, bangs it in for his second score of the season.
Merely 3 seasons ago, UConn football was one of the most disastrous programs in the entire country. They finished their 2021 season with a record of 1-11, and while they'd been considered a basketball school for the majority of their existence, this was beginning to get a little out of hand. Due to being an FBS independent school, UConn didn't participate in the 2020 college football season. In the 2 seasons prior, they finished with records of 1-11 and 2-10 respectively. What's worse is that the only FBS opponent they beat in those 2 seasons was UMass in 2019, a team that finished the year with also just a 1-11 record. So with all this put together, UConn from 2018 to 2021 had won just 4 games and lost 32, with just 1 win over an FBS opponent in the process. Obviously this was bad, but it was getting to a point where people were beginning to ask if UConn should move to the FCS level or even drop their football program entirely. Well, flash forward to 2024, and the Huskies have turned that narrative on its head, finishing 9-4 and winning a bowl game over a big-name Power 4 school. But how did this happen? How did a team on such a spiral towards disaster turn themselves around and snap a 14-year bowl game winless streak? Well, let's take a deeper dive into the last few years for the Huskies so we can find out. While there isn't much to say about a 1-11 season, there are a few important things to look at in order to better grasp where this program was as a whole. Their head coach at the time was Randy Edsall, who was there on his second run as the team's head coach. He'd led the team for 11 years from 1999 to 2010, including their first season as an FBS program in 2002. He had a mediocre first stint overall, producing a record of 74 wins to 70 losses, but that wasn't to say there weren't highs during that span. He won the 2010 Big East Coach of the Year award and led the team to their most recent bowl win prior to that season, defeating the South Carolina Gamecocks in the 2009 Papa John's Bowl. So after a failed 2.5-year experiment with Paul Pasqualoni at the helm, the Huskies elected to turn back to Edsall in 2017. His second run, however, was far worse than they ever could have imagined, as he compiled a dismal record of just 6-32 before announcing his retirement following their 38-28 loss to FCS opponent Holy Cross. This came just 2 games into the season, leaving defensive coordinator Lou Spanos to take over the team as interim head coach for the final 10 games. Their 1 win on the year would come in Week 8 as they defeated their only other FCS opponent of the year in the Yale Bulldogs by a score of 21-15. The Huskies announced Jim Mora as their new head coach going into the 2022 season. He'd formerly been the head coach for the likes of the Atlanta Falcons, Seattle Seahawks, and UCLA Bruins, experiencing some up and down success with each. This hire would prove to be incredibly beneficial for the Huskies, as he has been the man to get them where they are today. After a mild first offseason for Mora and the Huskies, they hoped to see the team moving in a new direction in 2022. They were 1-4 through the first 5 weeks of the season, but with that said, they had a brutal strength of schedule in that time, even having to play top 12 teams in back-to-back weeks. Starting in Week 6, however, they began to see the turnaround they'd been hoping for.
Confident, especially in this fourth quarter. Houston off the handoff with space. Can he get into it? He does! A touchdown for the Huskies and a lead!
Are we gonna rush the field? What are we doing? No, they're not gonna rush the field, but he's excited. Harrigan's gotta get out of here.
And this is now you've got, we talked about this in the game. Coach Stedford had the upper hand.
They're stacking the box to toss, a reverse. First man missed. This is Cale Millen, the backup quarterback, to the end zone. It's a touchdown on the trick play. UConn gets in the end zone. Last thing to come for a young team. And look, the meme has gone around Twitter of the most overrated stat, and you see the Iowa coaching staff come up.
In Fort Lauderdale. Again play action, again down the field. And it's caught. That's John Lee up the sideline. Makes the tackle. Still on his feet. Into the end zone. Touchdown UConn. 31, missed from 41. This from 43 to stretch the lead. Got the distance. And right down the middle. Team under 500 at 4-5 with a win over Boston College. Been a long time since they've had something to celebrate surrounding UConn football. But man, this is a day that certainly they will celebrate.
And rightfully so, Rich. The way you turn a program around is you have to get players that want to win. Then you coach them up and they hope to win. Then you get them to a place where they believe they can win. And finally, they expect to win. That's what Jim Moore is doing. Class act there, talking to Phil Dracovic. First and goal.
Rosa gets through the defense, and he is into the end zone. Touchdown, Huskies.
Don't dance, he says. You get another flag. Brown's not calling, he just wants it to be over. And here comes the 5-5 UConn Huskies.
As they get the win here. Rosa, season opening, gets the first down and then some. Can he get into the end zone? They get him in there as Victor Rosa gets a score to tie this game at 27. He's got one-on-one coverage. Rosa blocking downfield. Garcia's into the touchdown. Looking, and they've got it. Keelan Marion. Bennett. Survey. Pressure coming again. Watts again with the pressure. That one incomplete. It was Eric Watts once again defensively putting the pressure on Jonathan Bennett. Hands down. And for the first time since 2015, the UConn Huskies are bowl eligible.
Hey, here they come. I know, they're rushing the field right now.
The Huskies won 5 of their last 7 games, including upsets over the likes of Boston College and Liberty to become bowl eligible for the first time since 2015. They would lose in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, but it was clear Jim Mora was building something here. Their defense was the biggest factor to their success in the last stretch of the year, with stars emerging such as linebacker Jackson Mitchell and defensive back Trey Wortham. This group set the precedent for the coming years and ushered in a solid recruiting class that would soon blossom into a group of young stars. "2023, however, gave the Huskies fans a bit more to worry about. Just as it looked like this team was on the rise, 2023 would see them revert right back to their old ways. They got off to a brutal 0-5 start and were spinning their tires trying to get started. There were a few flashes during the season as Jackson Mitchell continued to shine and their new quarterback Taquan Roberson showed some promise. But when all was said and done, the Huskies finished the year at a mere 3-9, and it looked like they were headed right back where they'd come from. Well, in 2024, head coach Jim Mora took action and built this team back from the ground up. He was active in the transfer portal, acquiring players such as Wisconsin transfer wide receiver Skylar Bell and Indiana transfer linebacker Jaden McDonald. Alongside them, he moved several of his homegrown stars into the starting lineup, such as Malik Dixon-Williams and Tui Falmania-Brown. Players who were there as a result of his successful recruiting over the past few years. All these players would emerge as breakout stars in 2024, and despite a bad loss to Maryland to open the season, the Huskies proved they were a totally different team in the following weeks. It started with a win over FCS Merrimack, who they defeated with ease, but the next game on their schedule came against a tough Malik Murphy-led Duke team. The Huskies took Duke to the limit, holding the lead until just under 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Unfortunately, they would come up just short, losing by 5. This wasn't a game that many people expected them to be in, however, so this loss was nothing for UConn to be ashamed of. They followed it up with 3 straight wins, defeating FAU, Buffalo, and Temple by a combined score of 129-37. This had them set up for their next Power 4 test, as they were set to face Wake Forest at home in Week 8.
Behind it.
Another throw. Fields. And he's inside the 25. 9 of 10 on the season. And he knocks that one home. Our 3rd and 7. Blitz coming. Bachmeier stands in, fires it deep. That's Mays with the catch.
Freshmen like Mays to make those plays.
Claiborne bounces off. Bachmeier with a block. Claiborne with a dive. And he's in. Touchdown. Against Wisconsin. This is 53. And he gets his leg into it. And he hits it. How about that?
Playing 3 deep zone right now, it looks like it.
And here comes the heat. Bachmeier with time. Lofts it up. End zone. And is it packed? It is! And it's Claiborne straight ahead. Bachmeier will give him the push, and he's in. At USC. Evers. Corner shot. Caught. Get things. On 3rd and 15. Fires. End zone. Caught.
Despite coming up just short again, they had now taken 2 ACC opponents to their limit this season. The Huskies defeated Rice the following week, setting them up to clinch bowl eligibility against Georgia State.
Goal from the 3, Darrell Robinson checks in. They fake it to Robinson, slip it to the tight end, he dives into the end zone. Lewis Hanson with the 3-yard TD. Snap and holder good, here's the kick from Freeman. Freeman's kick is good, so UConn will tack on 3 more.
Michael Duke some more pass catching back. I see a pass coming up on this one.
Gibson has some time. Gibson lofts it over the top. It's caught in the corner. Ted Hurst hauls it in. Kick is up, and it is good as Georgia State has tied this ball game. Snap and holder good. Freeman drives it through. So 3 more points for UConn. They toss it to Darrell Robinson. Robinson. Chip shot is good for Rickman. So UConn to try and make it a 2-possession lead. Evers waltzes into the end zone.
The senior, and it's one of his last games at the end. He'll take that.
They go to Mel Brown Jr. Ball opens up. What can Brown do for you? 31 yards for the touchdown. Gibson to keep the drive alive. They hand it off. Easily picked up. And it's Brock. Brock sprinting towards the end zone. Brock with the touchdown. And
Catching back. I wouldn't be surprised if he touches it here.
Gibson stepping up. Gibson going to do it himself. And Georgia State with a chance.
That's when they do it. It's going to be slow rolling, and all these players over here are going to wait for it.
Rickman puts a little sauce on it. Ball's bouncing. Where's it going? Did Georgia State get on it? They're pointing in that direction. There's been no decisive call from the official, and it is now UConn ball. It's the game for UConn. They go to Edwards. Edwards gets the first down, and UConn's going to close this out.
The last game at the crib, we call that dub. Let's go! Yes, sir! Let's go! Skis, man! We did it! Full eligible, boy! Hey, that's it! Hey, that's it!
With bowl eligibility clinched, the Huskies were not done yet. They played yet another ACC opponent tough, losing to Syracuse by a touchdown as an incredible performance by Kyle McCord was just enough to push the Orange over the top. UConn would go on to win their rivalry game against UMass, finishing the regular season with a record of 8-4. This would land them in the Fenway Bowl against who would now be their 4th ACC opponent of the year, North Carolina. This gave the Huskies a chance to finally get a win against the ACC in 2024, and snap their bowl game drought. So, let's see what they did with that opportunity.
Showing pressure immediately. They bring it, hands off to Cam Edwards, and he's loose. Close to midfield, cuts it back inside, all the way into North Carolina territory, still on his feet. Forcing a 32-yard field goal try from Chris Freeman. Kick is away, and it's good. UConn, an opening drive down the field, having to settle for 3, but the Huskies get on the board first.
They're going to look to use Evers sparingly today.
Now Fagnano back in, rolls the pocket, going downfield for Bell. Has him! Touchdown, Huskies!
Not much experience at all.
Culliver. Had a good return last time, has another one here! Got the kicker to beat! Turns it back inside, flag down behind the play. Culliver's still on his feet. He'll go the distance. Got to check the laundry, though.
There is no foul in the play for holding. Result of the play is a touchdown.
They fell.
Like a freight train, it takes him a little while to hit the brakes. Now Fagnano to the end zone. Touchdown! And there he is, big old number 97 in that fullback spot. He leads the way for Edwards, cuts it back inside and scores. The pressure. They bring forward, they get to Merdinger, but he gets a pass off, and it's intercepted.
Jaden McDonald.
Freezing overnight. Certainly has worked for UConn today. Victor Rosa and company looking to power through the defense. Still on his feet down to the 5-yard line. Trying for 24 here. And he's got it. Yeah, well said, Coley. Our thoughts and prayers are certainly with the Gumbel family. Copenhagen scores! And Caleb Hood, hearkening back to his high school quarterback days. Merdinger to throw. Copenhagen can't squeeze it. Malik Dixon-Williams. He and Coach Freddie Kitchens embrace at midfield. The Gatorade bat for Coach Mora, and the UConn Huskies are the 2024 Wasabi Fenway Bowl champs.
You have to appreciate what head coach Jim Mora did for this team in such a short amount of time. In a matter of 3 seasons, he'd taken a team that had won just a single game and was being discussed for a potential program axing and turned them into a 9-win team with their first bowl victory since 2009, toppling a Power 4 opponent in doing so. UConn has proven that they are a real destination for success for up-and-coming stars on the recruiting trail and in the transfer portal. So, with all that said, it appears we may have just witnessed the birth of a dangerous program in college football.
These men are incredibly important to me. It's not about any contract. It's about these guys right here, their commitment, their dedication, their selflessness, what they mean to each other, the brotherhood we built. That's what it's all about. I love UConn. I love UConn Nation. I love our freaking band. It's the best band in the country. But more than anything, I love coaching that football team right there. I love you guys.
Going no fear. Ooh,